raincoats, like river crossing shoes. It's just a small backpack, like a normal light backpack with you.
Magnus, what will the weather be like in August?
What's the weather like? Are you asking how the weather is?
It changes all the time.
In August. The weather in August in Iceland.
So, August is probably like the best month weather-wise to do this hike.
What does that mean?
So, and the temperature is probably gonna be like, I don't know, maybe like plus 15, unless we're lucky and we get like very bad weather. But that's 15 Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. Let me, like 50, 55, right? And the hut is heated.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the hut's
We don't
heated.
need sub-zero sleeping bags.
No, just normal sleeping bags.
But there's no electricity in the huts, correct?
There is electricity, but nothing for us to connect to. There's solar power in most of the huts, and it's just enough for the lights in the hut. And, just like something very vital. But we cannot connect to a power outlet, no.
And what about the cooking then? I know that you do the cooking and we do the cleanup and the eating. But
There's gas cooking equipment. There's pans and pots, and there's water in the huts, and we can cook with that pretty good food there. And there's plates and forks and knives and stuff. So we're gonna be doing hiking between the huts, and then depending on just if everybody arrives and don't want to eat yet, then we would just say that maybe if we take a longer time hiking, then maybe the driver of the luggage will already have some food ready for us when we arrive. It just kind of depends on the group and how fast we're doing things. And if you guys want to be with us in the cooking, that's super fun as well. If you don't, if you just wanna, take a nap or something while after you reach the hut, then you can do that. There's just it's just gonna be we're just a group of friends really hiking, together. It's just we can do it however we like. I'm fighting the dog, by the way.
So I had a question about how deep the river crossings, how is the water for the river crossings?
If we get a normal depth of the rivers, because the rivers they vary a lot.
Right.
One day to the other, the depth can vary from a few inches. Mm-hmm. But normally the deepest river that we're going to be crossing is maybe a little bit higher than Calves. Maybe I would say maybe Calves deep.
a small cow or a big cow?
Yeah, a little bit lower than you pointed. But that same river, it could reach not waist deep, but almost waist deep. Like quads.
Poor Aunt
quads
Andress
deep.
is going to be underwater.
But it's very, very cold, so I hope it's not gonna be like that. But
so what do we do? Just cross, just walk, to get wet?
Yeah.
We just plan to
just
get
what get wet?
Yeah.
If it's that deep, then we just plan on getting wet that day.
Well, wait, what was the question? You plan on getting wet that day?
Yes.
Yeah, across the river.
If it's really deep, the water.
If it's waist deep.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting it's not gonna reach the knees.
Okay.
It's just gonna be barely up to the knees.
So we would change into some kind of water shoes that we would
Yes,
purchase
yes.
ahead of time.
And I really suggest Crocs. If you guys have some other better shoes that you want to use, of course. But if you haven't bought any river crossing shoes, I super duper recommend Crocs.
Oh.
And sport
They
mode.
have the 4-wheel drive, that you put behind.
Yep, we have sport mode.
What are they called?
Yeah.
Crocs.
C-R-O-C-K.
Oh, I have every color imaginable if anybody needs to borrow some. I have a daughter.
All right, what other questions do we have? What's on your mind?
By the way, if I don't hear what you're saying, it's because you guys are a little bit away from the microphone, so I hear you just kind of good.
Okay. We'll talk louder.
Good.
We are missing a few folks today who had some questions about sleeping bags, which you were already great to answer in email, that we would be able do we need to tell you before we fly over there whether we're gonna borrow sleeping bags from you?
No, not really. Just before we meet or something.
Okay.
Like the same day.
And we're planning to meet you, it's like 6:30 in the morning on August 3rd, it's bright and early. And my understanding is we can all have about one bag and maybe a backpack that we're walking with in our poles.
Yes. Like poles, all the personal hiking equipment, and preferably a duffel bag that you put all the overnight stuff in. You know, extra clothes, some medicine or whatever, like that kind of stuff. It goes in the overnight bag that gets transported between huts.
And you would prefer duffel bags because they're easier to load into the transport vehicle?
They're both easier to load, as in like they pack very well, but also they are waterproof, and there is a small chance that the luggage might get wet, but it's not supposed to get wet. But the car delivering the luggage is crossing rivers, and those rivers can also become very deep. So it's just and sometimes, for some reason, maybe the car needs to go to the hut and drop off the luggage in front of the hut or something like that, and then it might rain on the luggage. You know, that's the reasons why we want them to be waterproof. But normally the luggage just stays in the car. But in some cases, the car needs to just go immediately somewhere else. Something that happened or something, you know what I mean?
Okay. So we should bring a pillow. You mentioned a pillow for sure.
I would bring a pillow if you have because the beds that we sleep in, like the sleeping bags that we put in, if you don't have a pillow, it's just a little bit flat for your head. So.
Do we have to worry much about? I'm going to use the word critter. Either insects or critters. Do we need to?
No. I don't think you're gonna see an insect the whole trip.
I love it.
Maybe like a few flies, but I don't think so. Like
We don't need that.
it depends from summer to summer. If there's a special type of fly called midges, they sometimes show up in places, but like I don't think you're gonna have a problem with insects at all. There's nothing here. Nothing survives in Iceland except for very stupid people.
And sheep, a lot of sheep. Yeah, sheep, Icelandic horses.
Yeah, and sheep. Yeah, the sheep are crazy.
Yeah.
Magus, will our phones work? Or do we have to have a satellite, or will an international signal work?
It's like the phone. If you mean your data plan, then I don't know about that. But there is connection in the mountains there. Most of the time, not always, and sometimes you have to walk a little bit away from the hut. You know, it's like very irregular. Sometimes you're walking for like 20 minutes and you have connection the whole time, and then you lose it for another 10 minutes, then you walk back into the signal. But there's signal like maybe at least 80% of the way. So.
And how about charging our phones?
You're asking about charging?
Yes.
Charging is a big problem, especially if you're bringing like cameras and drones or something like that, then you can have a big problem with charging.
Just don't bring your drones.
But just bring like a big power bank, the biggest one you have, and use your phone sparsely, you know. But I know you're not gonna do that. You're gonna be taking like a ton of pictures and stuff. But there's like it should last fine, you know. Sometimes there's possibility to charge, like you can put a phone or a power bank into the car while they drive between, but I don't want to promise anything like that, because there can be you know, some reason that we can't.
Right. We've talked about sharing photos at the end so that not as many people have to take, you know, if we're doing a group shot, we only need one person doing it, not 10 cameras. So we can talk about that on our end too. I'm wondering about our driver for the van who's going to transport our luggage. Will that be the same person the entire time?
It's probably, I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna be there, but I have like 2 guys that I'm unsure which one is gonna be coming with us.
Okay.
And like we're just gonna see. I need to see a little bit closer, but it's gonna be the same one, yes, the whole time.
And we should tip that person at the end, I would imagine. That would be
if
the right
you want. Yeah, there's no need, but
that's,
everybody likes money.
well, that's who we are. So I just want to make sure we think about that ahead of time, that we would give Icelandic money.
It doesn't matter, but yes is the answer. If you give him American money, he will just have to go to the bank and exchange it.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter so much because we're quite international here in Iceland. We go to Spain, we go to America all the time. So if you give somebody American money, they will probably just save it until they go abroad. We travel a lot.
Great.
So
as I mentioned to you way back when, we've done some of these pilgrimages before, but usually it's been on the Camino or maybe the West Highland Way. This will be the first time we're doing this trip with you in Iceland. And one of the things we try to do is really keep a spiritual focus for the group. Mm-hmm. And so we might have some reflection time at night, either before, maybe while you're even helping us with dinner or after. And in the morning, we try to build that in. And I know you said that would be no problem for us to do that. There'll be other people in the hut with us, correct? That are traveling, some independent or some in groups?
Yes. The huts are a little bit different. Sometimes they have rooms like the huts, and it divides the group in the hut, not our group, but like other groups, into like specific rooms. And sometimes there's only one big room for everybody. So, it depends a little bit. But even if you want to have like a spiritual time, you could do it outside. It's gonna be August. It's gonna be warm enough, So we'll find ways.
That's great. We'll certainly include you if you want to be, but we also understand that you have a lot that you have to get done while you're taking care of us. We're going to be looking for a place in Reykjavik at the end to maybe have a time together with some communion. I'm going to contact that big cathedral there. But if you have any in with any of those religious, those churches, that would be helpful for me to know.
I don't have a lot of contacts in the religious here, but what kind of church? Like, there's a lot of different Christian church, right? Sorry about the background noise. I just had a kid like a month ago. I don't know
congratulations! Yay! Is it Magnus Viking the Fourth?
What's his name?
He doesn't even have a name yet.
What?
But I'll tell you when you get here.
All right. Well. We're hoping for Magnus Viking the Fourth. So.
Your name is supposed to be given by the government.
Sorry, what? You have to wait just a second. I can't hear anything.
Say it again.
I heard the name is given by the government or the country. You only have a first name, right? They don't have a last name.
Do you have a last name in Iceland? I mean, who gives you your name?
Some people have last names that are the family names, but it's the standard in Iceland is to have the last name is the first name of the father. So my son's last name is Magnusson, son of Magnus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's his official surname right now.
Uh-huh.
But my family, we have a given name that we give to all of the males in the family. It's just tradition. It's not a family name or anything like that. But that family name is Viking. So it's actually my name. It's not just a joke.
It's a great name.
I like it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
We're very excited to know that you have a baby, and you'll be able to share with us some of those photos when we see you.
Yeah. I was trying to get my fiance to drive the luggage between, so we can just spend time in the summer, but she doesn't really want to do that.
We can all take the baby hiking with us, put it on backpacks,
But I actually have a question. How are you guys with dogs? Is there anyone with allergies or something like that? Or do you mind if we take the dog? Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Love dogs.
He's just gonna hike with us,
We love
and he's
dogs.
gonna sleep outside of the hut anyway. So
Great.
I think we're all dog people, yeah.
he's just the best, most fun hiking partner that you can find.
Love that.
Great.
We just learned to love you even more, Magnus, that you have a dog to bring. That's all good.
Yeah.
So
He's I'm not even kidding. He's a puppy. He's just 6 months old, but you saw how big he was.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be then like maybe 8 months old or something when the trip starts.
Oh, goodness.
And he's already kind of a, I know everybody says it, but he's kind of a good dog.
What's his name?
What's his
And
name?
his name is Fenris. Fenris. I'll write it here. It's the name of the wolf in Norse mythology, one that eats Odin in Ragnarok, the end of the world.
Oh, good.
Oh, you like it. You like it.
Love it.
So tell us about the bathrooms, if there's a ton of people at these huts.
The bathrooms are okay. Like they're actually the first hut that we hiked to, terrible bathrooms, terrible.
Okay.
But it depends on how lucky we are, how smelly they're gonna be, because it's the most remote hut by far. There have been situations where the winter was so harsh and came so early that they couldn't empty the toilet. But this winter has been very easy, and I think there's going to be much less snow this year than the years like preceding.
Okay, so as we're hiking from hut to hut, if we need to have a personal experience, we should just bring our toilet paper and bags.
Preferably save it until you get to the hut.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But yes, bring toilet paper and like a bag or something. But it's not like, I mean, like if you do it, in the evening or the morning or something, then it shouldn't be a big problem, to reach the next
No
hut.
prunes
But,
in that gorp.
there's no problem anywhere really, just away from the people preferably.
Yeah.
See that?
Magnus, have you taken this tour with groups from America before?
Yes.
And what do you come away from those trips wishing that Americans would do or thought about before coming?
I like Americans, actually Americans, they're not as bad as Americans think. Like,
Oh, give us time.
yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I'll keep notes,
All right, well, let us know if
No,
there's things we
it's
can
just
do.
most people that travel to Iceland and they go on hiking trips as a group of like 16 people or something, whatever. They're normal people, most of them, So like we're not getting like the worst of the bunch. A lot. But there's a lot of different types of Americans,
Yeah.
and
Anything else?
I know that they say there's days where you can have 4 seasons in a day. How many of those days? I mean, what is the warmest clothes you need to bring in August?
So let me tell you how the weather works here. August is probably gonna be good, like warm, nice, maybe a little bit sunny, but it's very normal in Iceland to have overcast skies, and then maybe some rain can follow, or some heavy wind. In August, it's very unlikely, very, very, very unlikely that you're gonna get snow, but it could happen.
Sounds like
There could
Michigan.
be a blizzard, like wet, slushy snow hitting your face, hurricane winds. But like the chances of that are just very, very slim in the start of August. But we want people to be prepared. Don't bring like a down jacket, you don't need that. Just bring like layered clothes, there is a packing list, but it's very simple. It's just basically like thermal underwear, like a top and pants, underpants. And the next layer should be like a sweater or something like that, and then a shell on top of that, and then just bring raincoats in case, or the shell might even act as a raincoat, just so you can take off as you need, or put on if it starts raining or it starts picking up the wind or something like that. But August is very, very good. Like I don't want to tell you this, but I think it's just you're gonna be in your t-shirts a lot of the time. But
This is
so
very reassuring.
What's the temperature
don't
today?
expect that.
What's the temperature?
Sorry, what?
What's the temperature today?
Where you are?
Let me just check.
He's wearing sweater.
11 Celsius, which is
11.
something
Cold.
40, 50.
Fahrenheit, wait.
I get it all
51?
every day.
51.
51.
Yeah.
That's easy, yeah.
We can do that.
It's getting progressively hotter till maybe middle of June or something. No, yeah, maybe the start of July. Then it's gonna get a little bit colder day by day. But August is often the month that we get the hottest weather. So if we're extremely lucky, I certainly don't consider it lucky, maybe you do, we could get maybe 20-25 Celsius. Not 25, maybe 22,
Yeah.
which is pretty hot. It's much hotter, by the way, in Iceland. Where are you guys from? You might think that, like, how much is that in with 20 Celsius to Fahrenheit? It's like 70 Fahrenheit, but in Iceland, you're boiling, you're burning, your skin's burning. I'm not kidding. Especially when you're hiking.
Yeah.
So
Carrying a
that's also the reason why we have in the parking list there's sunglasses and sunscreen. A lot of people are like, what? Why? But the thing is that when the sun is shining like that and temperatures reach like 20 something, it's much stronger than, if you have like 90 or something in the States. The sun is just a little bit stronger here in Iceland. There's less, pollution, in the air. And because we're on the north side at the peak of summer, the sun is a little bit closer. So the rays, they hit you harder than you think. A lot of people burn because they just, it's not that hot compared to Texas or something. And, they think that they can handle it. But that's only if we're lucky. I don't want to, don't expect this.
This is very encouraging to hear from you, so that we can prepare better. We've really enjoyed reading about Iceland so far, and we have a lot more preparation that we're going to do so that we understand as much as we can about the culture and can enter into the experience of walking and talking together and getting to know you as well. You'll find this group to be pretty eclectic and interesting as well.
And I'm gonna make sure to tell you a lot of things about Iceland, the traditions, the culture, the history, like the nature. So it's gonna be a learning experience as well. You're gonna go back home as changed people.
No doubt.
Not necessarily, but
So what kind of hat do you recommend? It sounds like there's going to be a lot of sun.
What kind of hat?
Hat, yes.
sun hat.
What kind of hat?
what kind of hat?
Yeah.
I don't wear a hat 90% of the time. Kind of suggesting it. Like,
I guess we'll bring several.
have a nice warm hat, but you probably don't need it. But if it, like I said, if the wind gets terrible and the sun gets shaded by the clouds, it's gonna get a little cold. So.
All right.
And especially if it rains on top of that. But there's one thing that I kind of recommend to try, but fill your bathtub or something with icy cold water and put your feet in it, because that's a little bit of a shock to people how cold the rivers are. It doesn't matter if the temperature is 25, the river's gonna be freezing.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It's good to prepare for that. As a runner who's had to do ice baths before, I know that it's a shock. But it feels so good when your feet have been working all that time and then you get that cold water. It's probably restorative at some level.
Sure, yeah.
Just roll with it.
Agree to disagree.
But at the end, you're gonna be proud.
Yes, we will.
It's only cold while you're in the river. As soon as you get out of the river, it's not that bad,
Yeah.
Oh, I do have another question. How many nights we're not gonna have shower? Or no water, even washing feet?
I think there's only one night. Yes, only one. The second night, which is the first hut after we start hiking, it doesn't have showers. It has terrible toilets.
Yes.
So.
There's 2 bad toilets now.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Well,
But probably snow around it also, like around the hut.
Oh.
You can roll in the
Probably.
snow and wash off.
Yeah, you can roll in the snow if you want. There's a hot spring on the way, but it's too hot for bathing.
Oh.
Oh.
Any questions about shoes or attire or anything else?
Just bring, like, you don't need like the heaviest like Everest shoes or something. You just need good, comfortable, lightweight shoes with good ankle support. That's the only thing I recommend. It can be, if you guys have a lot of experience hiking, it could even be like trail runners or something like that. Like, because the path is pretty good. But if you don't have enough experience, just bring like the typical heavy hiking boots. But I'm just telling you, you have some options on choices. Just something comfortable, and preferably something that you have already used for hiking, because that's a problem with a lot of people, is that they start getting blisters.
Yeah. Wow. Good advice. Good advice. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead.
And definitely take blister. What do you call it? Like pads. Like fake skin or something, second skin.
Yeah. The needle and
Like,
thread.
because that's super duper important.
Yeah.
We should be prepared for that. Yes.
Mm.
Other thoughts? Other questions? We know you have a baby to get to, and we're so excited to hear more about that little one, and for you to get to know our group. We're just so grateful that you spent this time with us on your day off, and look forward to seeing you on August 3rd at 6:30 in the morning.
I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a beer for me if you're having a party there.
Yes, we are. We'll have one for you.
Will do.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Margaret.
1,000. Okay, so we weren't, yeah. In 1990, almost 98% of Icelanders identified as Christian. Today, that number's down to about 70%. About 8% of Icelanders say they have no religious beliefs, and most of those who identify as Christian are members of the Lutheran Church of Iceland, which is probably similar to the Lutheran Church of Scandinavia and all that. So about 5% of those people that are Lutheran adhere to minor Lutheran free churches, but the rest are pretty much standard members of the Lutheran Church. There's a small percentage of Roman Catholics. Other religions practiced in Iceland include Germanic heathenry.
Hey, can you get ordained in that?
Humanist, Buddhist, Muslim, Islam, Judaism, and Zooists. That was another one.
What are zooists?
Well, so
worship
Zooist
the
is an
Zeus.
Icelandic group established in 2010 to be a modern pagan religious movement based on the Sumerian religion.
Oh.
But they've since run into a lot of legal issues with how they're running the church. Apparently there's a way a church could get money from the government as a religious organization. So there's been lots of brouhaha regarding the Zooism religious, and there's very few members anymore. And Germanic heathenry is actually a pretty old type of religion. It doesn't have any unified theology, but centers on a pantheon of deities from pre-Christian Germanic Europe. Do you know anything about that, Mel?
Not really.
Okay.
But she's gonna look.
I know about death and dying, but I don't know about that.
Right. And humanists affirm that humans have the freedom to give meaning, value, and purpose to their lives by their own independent thought, free inquiry, and responsible creative activity. So, but mostly Lutheran. Like I would say a lot of in the United States or even Scandinavian countries, people have fallen off the religious spectrum for the most part. I mean, for a huge percentage of people.
But they have less nuns than we have, so that's impressive. There's a higher rate of Christians there, it seems like, than
Right.
currently.
Only 4% of the population considers themselves Roman Catholics.
Only 4% what?
Considers themselves or practice Roman Catholicism.
That's because it's.
Less guilt there. No wonder they have more fun.
Well, the Scandinavians have a way of,
Yeah.
we had beer all the time at church when I was growing up. Lutheran church, yeah, I was like, here.
Talk to Dave Vandermeer. He'd like us to get there.
Yeah, like the suppers, they always had the beer. So that's about all I had, so that's my piece.
It's good to know. More Christians in here and less Roman Catholics.
Right.
I think they're pretty inclusive as a country, but we'll get to that when we do culture. Yeah.
The big church in Reykjavik is actually a Lutheran church.
Ah, the one that's
Yeah.
the one I want to get us into.
Yeah.
Wait, Don't tell him, don't tell him.
Shut up. Yeah.
Okay, well, I have the history, and there's a lot of it, and I had pulled this whole thing together, and then I ran across this article today that kind of just put it in a nutshell, and I thought, well, he writes better than I do. So, the first set of Christians in Iceland was influenced by the Norse people in Britain, where Christianity had a presence. However, because a majority of the Icelandic population was deep into Northern Germanic religion, it died out. One of the known devout Christians at the time was named Odd, A-U-D, and I told Nikki today, she goes, I don't know how to say the names. I said, you just make them up. And deep-minded. The deep-minded was baptized and devout Christian who built a cross and prayed to it fervently. Her kinsmen also prayed to her God and the hill on which the cross was built. So there were Irish monks that left Ireland and came to Iceland, and they started Christianity, and they had a monastery there, similar to
Iona.
Mm-hmm. And then the Vikings came, and that was, they kind of ran them out. And then, you know what, I'm just going to paraphrase this because I've read it enough that I'm just, and then from Norway and Denmark, they came over, the Catholics came over and took over, and about 1530, that's when Martin Luther started and the Reformation happened, and that really took hold in Iceland. And it says in the 16th century, there was a rise in Lutheranism in Iceland. The Lutheran faith takes its doctrines from Martin Luther, as he was the first to reform the Catholic Church. Even though that was the big conference that they had when they decided that they wanted to be Lutheran, and agreed to stick to only Christianity. Lutheranism was gaining grounds, and Bishop Gazar, a man who was ordained by a Danish bishop, reorganized the church to fit Lutheran principle. This was after the death of the last two Christian bishops. The Lutheran practices involved suppressing Catholic practices as well as the promotion of clergy marriages.
Sounds like that was successful.
Yeah.
Suppressed the Catholics.
Eventually,
Marriage.
in 1584, the first translation of the Icelandic Bible was published and opened for purchase.
Nice.
And if you have any interest, I can send you the whole article.
Standing is kind of, but, okay, then, the Think Villa. No. This church was built in 1859.
Think Villa Church.
There's been a church on this property since 1017.
Very pretty.
And then there's the Black Church. And it's black because it's painted with tar to keep the wood from rotting. And the original church was built on the site in 1703. Then it was destroyed by the Danish King Christian VIII in 1816. And they rebuilt this in 1848.
It's very Christian of him.
Yeah, I know, very Christian. Yeah, they did a lot of that. I didn't realize at first it was settled by Irish, because that's what they did in Ireland too. That the Nordics, the Catholics and the Presbyterians, but anyway.
That is really stylish.
Yeah, it's on a lava bed, and it's in a abandoned fishing trading village. So pretty much all that's there is the church and the hotel, so you can go visit the church. And this is one of the most photographed spots in Iceland.
Gorgeous.
All right. And this cathedral, all this means Red Rock Cathedral. And the first church was built here in 1050. There's been 6 churches on this site since 1050. the first Lutheran, in 1600 they built the first Lutheran church here after the Reformation. This church was built in 1757 to 1763, and it didn't have its original steeple. They built the steeple in 1950 as a memorial for the last Catholic bishop and his two sons who were killed in 1550 because they opposed Reformation. So kind of pretty inside. We have this church. I am not even going to pretend to say this church. It was built in 1940 by a very famous architect who also did the big church in Reykjavik.
Which is where I'm hoping we can go into.
This is the largest and most famous church.
Yeah.
Hallgrim. I tried so hard to learn this. It doesn't even start with the H when they say it. There's none of those letters are in the pronunciation of the church. But it's built. It's supposed to look like the mountains, the glaciers, and the ballast rocks, which these are what the ballast columns are.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, and
Basalt.
it
Looks like
this is
Iona.
the view from the tower up here is beautiful. The bell goes off every 45 minutes. It's deafening, but it's cool. They have two organs. The one organ has 5,275 pipes.
Wow.
And this Leif Erikson statue with these two beautiful children here, happen to be mine, was actually on the site before the church was.
So you took these photos?
Just this one. These. Oh, actually, no. All three of these are mine. This one I didn't. These three are mine.
Nice.
But the church was built. It took 41 years to build. It was 1945 to 1986. It's Lutheran. It is named after the Icelandic poet and clergyman Reverend Hallgrimur Pettersson. And but the statue was here in 1930, so 15 years before the church, and it was donated by the U.S. to commemorate the 1,000 years of Iceland.
Nice.
And it's Leif Erikson, who again has a much harder name to say in Icelandic. So, but it's a cool church.
Mm-hmm.